Hello, World of Tank Blizzard heads. This is Littlefinger with another full tank review. Today, we're going to be looking at the T26E5. This is an American Tier 8 heavy premium tank, and it is currently for sale up here. 15,000 gold or 12,500 gold if you get it without the equipment and the camo. Talk about that here in a second, but first want to do a little housekeeping. This video is not intended for children, nor any of the videos on my YouTube page. Subscribership has been going through the roof. I really appreciate it, guys. Seems like just yesterday we were at 5,000. We're about to surpass 6,000 any day now. With that comes more people to the Discord server, and we've been running with just one active moderator. Put out an application recently for some new moderators. Tough decisions, but Yoda Jedi Master is going to become our next moderator. He's down under, so it gives us a little bit of a different time zone coverage. And also, he's got a YouTube page himself. I'll put a link down below if you like listening to videos moderated by Yoda. Check him out. Also, just started a Patreon website, link below. If you want to help support me, gives you some perks in return. So go check that out. But hey, back to this tank, Tier 8 Premium. Do we really need another premium tank at Tier 8 Wargaming? I'd say the answer is probably no. But the ironic thing is you look at this tank, it looks like so many of the other American tanks. But somehow Wargaming managed to put together a tank that is completely different from all of the other American tanks. It's kind of a mashup of them all with some really good features. So, to break tradition here, I'm going to go straight to a game on Falls Creek as top tier. And this is one of the 4 out of 20 games that I ended up losing. And I was trying to be aggressive in this game and just see how that would play out. So, just to talk about this tank, it is actually a heavy tank with 40 kilometers per hour as the top speed. It drives a lot like the Super Pershing, but has a turret much more consistent with a T32. And you're going to bounce a lot of shots if you can get hold down. Now, I'm not sure what the RHM was thinking here, but this is a good time to point out that this tank has over 2,500 damage per minute. It is the second highest Tier 8 tank with damage per minute. So the fact that you can get hull down, the fact that you've got such high damage per minute, you can really bully other medium tanks. So it's not one of these frontline type of tanks unless you're hull down, and it is a huge medium support tank. You can see the reason I pushed this far is because obviously this is an American tank. We've got 10 degrees of gun depression, so I wanted to get up here and spot. Now, I made a huge mistake there trying to get the kill shot, taking 2 shots, bouncing 1. So that's put me on just 1. I'm a 1-shot now to just about everybody here. But what I want you to see here is if I had a little bit of support here from this IS to my left, we probably survived this battle here with the Lava. But in such a short amount of time, you know, I'm going to pump out over 3,000 damage. Now, if the IS had killed him before I had to, you know, go around him, and you'll see he can't pan him. He's got the little gun. Nothing he can do. just really no support on this game. But 2,500 damage per minute with a 90mm gun with a 5.7 second reload. It's just super unique for a heavy tank. So by being front line there, I just took one mistake for that game to fall apart. Just because of lack of support there from the team. Alright guys, real quick, Blitz Stars tank compare. We've got the T26E5. All the rest of these are American heavies with the exception of the Super Pershing at the end. Just looking at this damage per minute, like I was saying, 2338 without equipment. Run the gun rammer, get it up to 2514 there, but it's above all of these other tanks. Pen is right in line with these tanks as well, above the Pershing, above the T32. You're only doing 240 per shot, but you've got a high rate of fire with this 90mm gun. Even your shell velocity is good. And I've played around throughout these 20 battles with different equipment settings. I did it with the calibrated shells, different setups, and you'll even see that here. I ran the refined gun, and you'll see how bouncy that turret is. But anyway, if we move on down to weapon handling, 1.72 is your aim time. Like I said, dispersion 0.308. 10 degrees of gun depression. These gun handling stats beat all of these other tanks, which is why I found it hard to hate this tank. Movement mobility, it's a heavy. It's got 40 kilometers per hour, and it does, I mean, it feels a little sluggish. It feels like the Pershing, but it certainly does not feel like a T-34 or T-32 or Mutant or any of those heavy tanks. So you can get to your spots. You can help with medium flanks. It gives it so much more versatility than the flat outright heavy tanks. Credit coefficient, I'm going to guess, is right in the neighborhood of 170. Hit points, 1,500. I'm using improved assembly because your armor's already pretty good. So I'm at 1,590 there. Hull armor, 152. It's decent. You're not really going to get many bounces there, but where you're going to get your bounces here is your turret armor, 192, 102 on the sides, and 127. It's all rounded edges. You're going to get a lot of bounces. If you're comparing it to the T32 at 290 or the T34 at 279, I mean, that's just excessive. You don't need that much armor. So I think the armor is in the right place on this tank. And we move down to the 90-day averages here. Just look at this, 58% win rate. All of these average damage, average kills, it's higher than all of these other tanks, which got to tell you that this is a good tank. All right, guys, as we get started here on Faust, I wanted to run through the equipment setup. I ran a bunch of different options, and this is what I settled upon. So top row there, gun rammer, defense system, and improved optics. Now, the decision here really is in the gun rammer versus calibrated shells. You're going to give up 200 damage per minute, 2,300 versus 2,500 if you don't choose the gun rammer. Calibrated shells is going to allow you probably to pen the cheeks of most heavy tanks, definitely with heat. But with a 90mm gun, you're not going to be shooting HE, so I really did not see the benefit to that. Plus, at 2,500 DPM, you're going to be the biggest, baddest brawler out there, so you don't have to worry about being out DPM'd by anybody, really. Second row, we've got enhanced gun lane drive, improved assembly, which is probably the difficult choice there, and then engine accelerator. Now, instead of the enhanced armor, I felt like Hull Down, this tank had good armor anyway, so I didn't feel that was needed as far as the improved. So I went with the extra 90 hit points for the improved assembly. Now, moving down to the bottom row, and you might have noticed it in this game here, the gun barrel bouncing up and down as I change elevations. Well, I was running that with the refined gun and not the vertical stabilizer, which I ended up settling upon just because of the bounce in this gun. But we've got enhanced tracks and consumable delivery system rounding out the 9 if you do choose the 15,000 gold option. So you can see we've got ourselves into a position where we were hull down to the corner there at first, and then a couple tanks spotted up behind me, so we flexed on over there, and for whatever reason they focused on the tanks that had gone into cap, and we are down a tank even now. But what you'll notice with this game, you see that bounce in that barrel, but just how fast this tank shoots. It's a heavy tank, and I mean, you just don't expect that from a heavy. And to be quite honest, I purchased this obviously on the community contributor account, and I didn't know anything about this tank. I just jumped into battle, and I left my first battle saying that is one of the slowest medium tanks. And then I looked, and I started looking at the stats, and I'm like, wait, this is classified as a heavy tank. So felt like that was kind of interesting. But as you can see, if you can get your gun on target with this tank, you know, you're going to pop out a lot of damage. And look at this. This is a 4K game, and it's only a level 1 mastery. So that just goes to tell you that there's a lot of people out there getting some big games to get a mastery game in it. All right, guys, Middleburg Supremacy game. And as we get started here, just wanted to talk about armor. So here's our tank from Armor Inspector. And you can see from the turret there, a lot of red, not much on the hull. We're going to go around the tank here, and 108 millimeters on the side and 127 there on the back. You know, obviously not much in the rear from an American tank, but what we want to look at here is the front of the tank. And look at all this red all the way around the turret. And this is being shot by another T26E5. So if we angle the tank downward, or so we can use that gun depression, we are increasing that effective armor around the top, getting it in places over 300 millimeters. And so yeah, that I think goes to the why I'm running the improved assembly. Look at this gun. It is just so accurate. So accurate. They've got all 3 caps, but we are pushing heavy. And with a tank that loads as fast as this, you can take shots on the move because you're going to get reloaded and ready to shoot again. And dang it, that shouldn't have been a bounce there on the side of the turret, but we'll finish him off hitting the top hatch there. And so the team just evaporates. And this is what happens when heavies go down and you're facing a team that all works together. Sometimes it does happen in Blitz, folks. A good team. But even with that being said, and this is a real short game, and I'll show you another one here in a second just to continue to highlight the strengths of this tank. But look how easily we were able to keep this gun going. And even with such a strong team that worked out so well, we get so close to 3K in damage. Just pumping shot after shot. And, this fits into that situation of a tank where I just love the damage per shot and the high rate of fire. It really works with this tank. Look at this, 118,000 credits there. That's good money. So we're going to finish off here as bottom tier Naval Frontier Supremacy game. And, just talk about the characteristics of this tank. I really think it's a heavium type medium support tank. I'd be hesitant to run it on the front lines unless you've got some really, really, really good hold down positions. About the tank and its drivability, let's say. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the Super Pershing. If it drives a good bit like that, but I think it feels more maneuverable, to be honest with you. The turret traverse on the Pershing is 24 degrees per second. On the T26E5, it's 30. So you've got 24 degrees versus 30. So you've got a much faster turret. Now, for the hull, you're at 45 degrees per second on the Pershing, but only 35 here on the T26E5. So a little bit slower to turn, but you do have a faster turret. The top speed there is the same at 40 kilometers per hour. But I think, you know, the sacrifice of losing the hull armor in order to give you more mobility makes this just a nice little tank to play as we finish off the Chieftain T95. And again, you'll see how I'm really just trying to work ridge lines as much as possible. Look at that. Even the side of the turret's going to get some bounces. So I'm cognizant of the fact that, you know, we've got a Yogg Panther over on the other side. I think it was that a Yogg Tiger. Yogg Tiger on the other side, that's tier 9. And the RU on the other side, I've got some tanks to my right here, just keeping them at bay a little bit. The Scent 7-1 pushes hard, so focus fire. You know, I always try to get guys, this VK's on them. I'm going to get on them. If we've got one tank pushing hard, let's get 2 guns on them and let's get them out of the game fast, right? So not sure what the VK is doing. Not helping me out too much. But, you know, take a couple shots there, but we're going to finish off the Scent 7-1. Turret goes flying. We got a tier 9 AMX. The premium tank. It's a nice little tank there. But, you know, this is what I'm saying. It's you get into a one-on-one situation brawling with any other tank, and you can certainly hold your own. So that's why I think this is just a good tank to play. And I feel that even though the stats don't really point it out, it just drives better than the stats indicate. So more turrets flying here. You know, 2671 in damage as a bottom tier tank, doing almost 100,000 credits. So I think it's a really solid tank. I'm glad I had the community contributor account to give it a test drive. 15,000 gold, you know, it's pretty steep. But it does fill a nice little niche I don't know any other tanks quite like this. So if you're into collecting, you know, tanks that are a little on the different side, this one is a fun tank. You know, there's a lot of other tier 8 premiums that just don't measure up to this one, to be honest, guys. So with that, hopefully you've got some tips. Make your decision and come join us on Discord. We're getting things going. Things are going great, guys, and I hope you are out there having fun, getting ready for Christmas and the holidays and the New Year, and Blitz Fair coming out soon. So everything is great. So have fun out there, stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.